Well, it's good to be here tonight. You've already heard 2 sermons, so don't be short. We're going to look at John 11 and verse 35. Jesus wept. Brother got the invitation song ready. Make him come on. Jesus wept. John 11 and verse 35. Why was Jesus weeping? Well, Jesus was weeping because a good friend of his had died. If you look at John 11 and verse 1, now a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary, her sister Martha. And it was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ornaments and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sisters sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. And when Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister, and Lazarus. And when he had heard therefore that he was sick, he abode 2 days, still in the same place where he was. Then after that he said to his disciples, let us go into Judea again. His disciples said unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and you going thither again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not because he seeth light of this world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth because there is no light in him. These things said he, and after that he said unto them, our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking a rest in sleep. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I'm glad for your sake that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. Then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was now unto Jerusalem about 15 furlongs off. And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. And Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went to meet him. And Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou had been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus said unto her, thy brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. and whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believe thou this? She said unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. And when she had so said, she went away, and she called Mary, her sister, secretly, saying, The Master is come, and calleth for thee. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. The Jews then, which were with her in the house, and comforted her, when they saw they saw Mary, they said that she arose up hastily and went out and followed her, saying, She goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then, when Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou had been here, my brother had not died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit, and was troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Now Jesus have heard all of this from everybody, from Mary, from Martha, from the disciples, and from all of those that were now weeping. Then Jesus began to weep. Then said the Jews, Behold, how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should not have died? Jesus therefore again groaned in himself, cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus said, Take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, said unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he's been dead 4 days. Jesus said unto her, Said I not unto thee, that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldst see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes. And his face was bound about with a napkin. And Jesus said unto them, Loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did, they believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done. You notice they always have to go tell the Pharisees. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all. Now consider that it is expedient for us, for one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. And then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death. Jesus therefore walked no more openly among the Jews, but he went thence unto a country near to the wilderness, into a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. And the Jewish Passover was now at hand. And many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then sought they for Jesus, and they spake among themselves, and they stood in the temple. What think ye, that he will not come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment, that if any man knew where he were, he should show it, that they might take him. Now when you look at this, Jesus just came to the grave of Lazarus, just to raise Lazarus, whom everybody loved. He loved. The sisters loved him, and all of the Jews seemed to have loved him because they were there to comfort Mary and Martha. But after Jesus had got there, and they knew who Jesus was because Mary kept saying, He's the Son of God. I know that Lazarus will be resurrected in the last day because I know that you're the Son of God, and whatever you ask God, he'll do for you. But she didn't realize that Jesus was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. When Jesus said he sleepeth, Jesus was saying he's dead. But the disciples thought he was just saying he's asleep because they said, well, this is good that he's just asleep. But Lazarus was dead. And Jesus knew that he was dead. But Jesus knew that he had come that God might be glorified through the resurrection of Lazarus from the dead. Now, Jesus was grieved in his spirit when he heard that Lazarus was dead. But you know, Jesus already knew that he was dead. And as they began to speak to him and say, he's dead, Mary them said, if you had been here, he wouldn't have died. Jesus knew Lazarus was dead. And Jesus knew that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. But everybody was sitting waiting to see what Jesus was going to do. And Jesus went to the grave and said, remove the stone. And he called Lazarus and said, Lazarus, come forth. And Lazarus got up out of the grave. Now all of them wept because Lazarus was dead. Mary and Martha wept. The Jews also wept. Jesus wept. But this was not the only time that Jesus wept. When you go over to Luke 19 and verse 44, Jesus had wept again. Remember when Jesus came to Jerusalem and saw the condition of Jerusalem? And he began to weep. He said that he was as a hen with the chicks under her brook or under her wings. And he wept because of the condition of the city of Jerusalem. So Jesus wept. Now there was another weeping. The church wept over in Acts the 20th chapter, verses 36 through 38. Remember when Paul met with the church there at Ephesus? And after he had met with them and got ready to depart, and you notice that they all began to weep. Why were they weeping? They were weeping because they loved Paul and they didn't want to see him to go. Verse 36 to 38. And when he had thus spoken, he kneeled down and he prayed with them all. And they all wept sore and fell on Paul's neck and kissed him, sorrowing most of all for the words which he spake, that they should see his face no more. And they accompanied him unto the ship. But they wept, did that not they not? Sure, because they loved Paul. They loved his fellowship. You know, sometimes we weep, don't we? We weep for different reasons, don't we? Sometimes we weep because we lose a loved one. Sometimes we weep when our children or our loved one come home and they get ready to depart. And we hate to see them go. So we weep, don't we? Nothing wrong with weeping. And that's not the only time you've wept. Some of us have wept because of sometimes the persecution that confront us. Sometimes because of the loneliness that confront us. We weep. You know, some people say, well, men don't weep. Yes, men do weep. You may not see them, but they weep. Don't you think they don't? They might have to go in the bathroom or the closet or somewhere, but they weep. They're just like you. There's a tender spot in their heart, just like it is in yours. And we weep. Look at old Jeremiah. Go back to Jeremiah chapter 9. And let's see Jeremiah, how he's going to weep. See, old Jeremiah was known as a weeping prophet because there were things that troubled Jeremiah from time to time. And Jeremiah chapter 9 is one of them. Old Jeremiah said, oh, that my head were waters, and mine eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughters of my people. Listen now. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of a wayfaring man, that I might leave my people and go from them. For they be all adulterous, and a symbol of treacherous men, and they bend their tongue like bows for lies. But they are not vigilant for the truth upon the earth, for they proceed from evil to evil. They know not me, saith the Lord. Well, Jeremiah was weeping for his people. He was weeping because of the condition of his people. He recognized the condition that they were in. And so that's why Jeremiah was weeping, because he had saw the condition of his people. And they were in a bad condition. They were separated from God. They were going to captivity because of their rebellion from God. They had become a distant from God. They had begun to mix and to mingle with other nations. And they had just reached a condition that God could no longer love them. And this is why Jeremiah was weeping, because God no longer loved them because of the condition that the people were in. Sometimes we weep because of the condition of our children are in. Sometimes we weep because of a husband, because of a wife, or maybe because of some relatives, because we know that their soul is on the way to hell. And we're weeping because we haven't been able to turn them around. And all we can do is just talk to God and turn them over to God, hoping that one day they'll come to their senses and return to God. And if they have not been with God, that they will come to God. And that's all we can do. We can cry and we can pray. but we can't make them obey. So we have to do like Jeremiah did. We have to do like Jesus did. We have to do like Mary and Martha. We just have to weep. When we lose our loved ones, the only thing we can do is just weep. Talk to God for the comfort that we need, hoping that God will give us the comfort that we can get over the situation. But I tell you, sometimes it's difficult in trying to get over a situation. I remember when the undertaker came and took Bernice away from the home. Boy, that was one of the saddest days, I guess, of my life. And my heart dropped out. She won't be returning. That's a sad condition to be in. But we all come to those points sometime. And we just have to depend on God and ask God for his grace, for his mercy, for his comfort. And knowing that God loves us the way he loves us, that he will give us that comfort. And he'll help us to get through it. So if you're here tonight and you know that you're on the outside of the ark of safety, you ought to be weeping tonight because you know the condition that your soul is in. You're in an undone condition, you're lost, you're separated from God, and you're on your way to hell. But don't you want to reverse that? You can tonight. All you got to do if you're on the outside of the ark of safety, come to Jesus. If you're not a member of the Lord's church, but hearing the gospel, believing and repenting, confessing, and being baptized for the remission of your sin, the Lord will add you to his church. And you can be on your way to heaven. But if you're a member of the church and you're falling short, you know that you stepped on the outside of the ark of safety. You're aloof from God. You're away from the fellowship of God. You no longer have a relation with him. Won't you return to the fold tonight? As together we stand and sing the song of invitation.
Jesus is calling, calling, calling. Jesus is calling today. Why should I linger, linger? I will arise and away. They are so happy, who to the Savior obey. Why should I linger,
You may be seated.
linger? I will arise and go home.
Good evening, church. Christian men cry. They say real.